freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 371 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearmsauctions.com, where you set the price on guns, ammo, and accessories. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is America, more armed than ever. Our guest today is Mark Walters. Mark is a syndicated host for two national radio programs, Armed America Radio and Armed America Radio Daily Defense with Mark Walters. Mark's voice can be heard on over 200 stations in hundreds of cities 6 days a week across America. He is a co-author of 3 critical acclaimed books, Lessons from Armed America, Lessons from Unarmed America, and Grilling While Armed. He is a member of the board of directors of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hello.
Thanks for having me, guys. A pleasure to be here. Always fun to talk with you guys.
Absolutely. It's been way too long since we've had you on. So
yeah, if you're nervous about being on a microphone, just relax. Cheryl will walk you through it, okay?
I'll be okay. I'm
good. I think you walk around with one strapped to your body somewhere with as many hours of radio you do
6
every
days
week.
a week. I might as well, right? I'm used to it. No big deal. Let's rock and roll. Let's get freedom moving.
Amazing. So really, where did this passion come from? I mean, there are a lot of people who would say that they are pro-gun, they're pro-freedom, pro-constitution, but it seems like with you, it's very personal. And I'm just wondering, where did that come from?
It is personal. I've always been a patriot. I've always been patriotic. I love my country. Ever since I was a kid. I'm a type AAA personality, but this goes a little bit deeper than that because I think you may know my story, but back in 2002, I always been a gun nut, always loved my firearms and my right to keep and bear arms and was passionate about it for a long time. But I had an incident happen to me in 2002 on my way to work. My daughter was only 2 weeks old at the time, and 2 of Tampa's great miscreants attempted to carjack a vehicle at a traffic light at an intersection in front of me as I was on my way to work. Here I was, 6:20 in the morning, stopped coming up to a traffic light when a car pulled in front of me. 2 idiots got out, tried to carjack the woman, couldn't turn their attention towards me. And thankfully that day I was armed and I pulled a Glock 36 that I had on my right hip and stopped that crime as it unfolded right in front of me. And you know, everything just kind of slowed down, and all of a sudden, here I was sitting at a traffic light, minding my own business, and a split second later, I had a firearm trained on 2 individuals. I didn't have to pull the trigger. Mr. Glock's invention did exactly what it was supposed to do without my having to squeeze the trigger, thank God. And I went home alive that day. They went home alive that day, as did the individual in the other car. And that began with me a very deep-seated passion for my right to keep and bear arms and my willingness to fight for that right. No one was going to take that away from me. More important than that, as I reflected back on it, my 2-week-old daughter will be 20 years old in November, on November 2nd. My wife would subsequently have our son almost 2 years later. She did not wind up a widow because I had a firearm that day. And that's where it comes from. And I'll continue to fight as long as God gives me breath in my lungs. It originally led to a column that I wrote called The Importance of Carrying Your Gun 100% of the Time. And over time, that led to more magazine columns and more interviews, and that turned into the radio show. And here we sit today. Armed American Radio is now 13 years old on April 26th. On April 27th, we begin our 14th year, now airing in hundreds of cities around the country. And of course, with the addition of the daytime show 6 years ago, 6 days a week. So we get a lot of windshield time in front of the microphone now.
That's awesome. Mark, I just can't believe that. I mean, you know, you hear these stories all the time where people have saved lives with guns. Yet the other side is saying that we don't need guns.
Yeah.
Right. Like you could have just called the police, right? Because
Right.
they could have appeared out of thin air
Mhm.
in a millisecond to help you in that situation. Isn't that what the other side tries to say?
That's what they try to say now. But keep in mind, guys, this was '02. There were no cell phones. At least I didn't have one. They weren't prevalent. The iPhone didn't hit the market, smartphones, until '07. I was literally sitting there blocked in, cars behind me, cars in front of me, cars to the side of me, excuse me, and nowhere to go. And thank goodness I had my gun. And the interesting part about it was I used to say, and I still say it on the radio a lot when I talk about it, that prior to that incident happening, a criminal had a 50-50 shot of running into an armed victim, because I hadn't yet made a decision to carry my gun everywhere all the time yet. I've never left the house without a firearm strapped to my hip since that time period, and I never will.
Man, that just gives me chills to think about, because, you know, there, but by the grace of God, any of us go, because it just happens that fast. And,
Yeah, it does.
you know, some people say, well, I only carry my firearm when I'm going to go someplace dangerous. Well, you ended up in a place where danger visited you, but it wasn't necessarily a dangerous place. So we can't really pick and choose those times. We absolutely can't pick and choose those times. So be prepared all the time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, evil manifests itself at its time and place of choosing, not yours.
Right.
You don't get that knock on the door in the morning that says evil's going to visit you today at 621 at the intersection of Fletcher and Nebraska Avenue today on your way to work. We don't get that luxury. The criminals have that luxury because they get to pick and choose that time. So we have to be prepared all the time. One mistake with us can cost us our lives. You know, it's that simple.
Well, and that, I think, is a good segue to one of our questions today about the Supreme Court and some questions the Supreme Court have for the state of Maryland, a court case that's going to bubble up there about a rifle ban. And the reason I say it coincides with the Supreme Court in this way is because recently there was an actual gun case being argued and heard by the Supreme Court after 10 years of nothing, maybe more than 10 years. And one of the justices was saying, well, exactly what you said. We don't know when people are going to need a firearm, right? We shouldn't have to justify that, because in the state of New York, they're trying to say, well, what is your extra need for a firearm, right? Not just that I'm alive and I want to stay alive, right? You got to have an extra reason for having a firearm. And one of the justices said, well, what is that extra reason? Because you don't get the notice, hey, you're going to be in danger today. You might want to take your firearm. So that's the New York case. There's something going on in Maryland. I wanted you to kind of help us unpack what is happening there. But it does involve a gun ban, a rifle ban, and 25 attorneys general across the nation saying, how about no? We're joining together to say, how about no? Can you pick it up from there?
Yeah, let's go back to 2017, actually. Let's go back to the Peruta case in California. California, very similar case, the Peruta case to the New York case, in the sense that the fight was about having to show, quote unquote, good cause to carry a firearm to get a permit. We all know California is a mess. It's a patchwork of liberal la-la land, goofballness, communism. And we wanted to
really feel, though. I mean,
I don't even want to tell you how I really feel. I want you to have me back. All right.
But they got beautiful beaches, though, Mark.
Well, yeah.
Good. They can have them. So does Florida. Florida's free. Okay. And they're not as crowded. Here's the deal, that we wanted that case to be heard by the Supreme Court so that we could finally put to bed the reason to have to show a good cause to exercise a constitutional right. Think about that. Think about having to get a card that allows you to speak freely or show a good cause of why you believe what you believe and want to say what you want to say. That's what we're talking about here. The Supreme Court in conference elected not to grant cert to that case, so it never moved forward. Thomas, Gorsuch, and I believe Thomas and Gorsuch were the two main, but they wrote a dissent to the court's refusal to take that case, and it was scathing. Then essentially what they said was the court cannot continue to sidestep these issues. We've got to answer these questions. A few years later comes the New York case, which is similar, but even better than the Peruta case because it's so pinpointed in the sense that in New York, You can, and lots of people have permits in New York, but they've all had to show a reason why. And in New York, you have to get permission from a government official, law enforcement, and depending on where you are in the state, permission to exercise a constitutional right. So the court has finally agreed to take this case. Interestingly, because we know we're going to win this case. We know we're going to win it. We're confident. That's not just my feeling. That's also the feeling of Alan Gottlieb, who is intimately involved in this case, et cetera. So that's what started there. We feel confident in this New York case. What we don't know is the breadth of the decision, the scope. How wide is it going to be? This should be a 9-0 decision, but it won't be, because we know how 3 of the members of the court, or at least maybe 4 members of the court, depending on how Roberts moves, will be swayed. However, in this case, we have to remember that Justice Roberts voted in favor with us in the Heller case in 2008 and the 2010 subsequent case, McDonald v. Chicago. So he would have to reverse years of his own precedent in order to vote against us in New York. We don't think that will happen, but he likes more narrow rulings. So therein lies the case with New York. We're going to get a decision on that in June. We feel really comfortable about that. Now let's move to Maryland. Fourth Circuit has upheld Maryland's assault weapons ban case. Other circuits across the country have found them to be unconstitutional. We have a perfect rift in the court. And in this particular case, when the Second Amendment Foundation, the Firearms Policy Coalition, along with their plaintiff, filed suit seeking cert at the Supreme Court, Maryland's Attorney General opted not to respond to the petition. And the Supreme Court came back and said, we want to hear from you. Yeah. Which is a great sign that the court is taking this case seriously and looking into it. And that's where we get to what you just mentioned. We now have 25 state AGs, attorneys general, who have filed petitions seeking this case to be heard at the Supreme Court. So in addition to that, we now have there's a piece up on, it's reason.com, written by Dave Koppel, who just filed his brief. Now, interestingly, it is Valentine's Day, the 14th. And by the way, happy Valentine's Day, Cheryl.
Happy Valentine's Day to you both.
Today is the deadline. Yeah, to both of you. Today is the deadline for the amicus briefs to be in. So we will see what happens here. But nonetheless, we feel really good that the Supreme Court is sending signals that they're very serious about taking this case. What does that mean for us? Imagine getting a victory, knocking out some of the House of Cards gun control laws, having to show good cause in New York, which would literally wipe out the shall issue versus, you got shall issue versus may issue. In 7 other states, may issue would go by the wayside. If you seek a permit, you can get a permit. We can go a little bit deeper now, because in 21 states, soon to be 22, where I sit now, the state that you are in, of course, is a constitutional carry state. Georgia will be number 22. We are confident about that. Nearly half the states in the country no longer need a permit. So we see the direction this is going. The left is going crazy. The anti-gunners are going nuts with good reason. They're losing. We are winning. Forget what you don't see in the mainstream press about this. But imagine now getting an assault weapons case that wipes out the ban in Maryland and has ramifications across the country that puts these to bed. You've got now the most common rifle in use in America, cannot be banned from Americans. It is not a military weapon. It is a semi-automatic 223 or 5.56 caliber. Imagine the 1-2 punch these two cases would represent. An assault weapons ban being wiped out on the heels of the New York victory would be just a devastating blow to the anti-gun left. So we're excited about this.
Yes.
We feel pretty comfortable. And it would seem to me that with let's say the signals that the Supreme Court is currently throwing at this case in Maryland, and now when you have 25 AGs, all Republicans, by the way, imagine that, throwing their weight behind this, and them seeking response now from the Maryland Attorney General, who refused to even consider writing in defense of this as it was originally filed. It would seem to me that the Supreme Court it would shock me if they didn't take the case, if they didn't agree to take the case, particularly with the makeup of the court the way it is. So that's the long-winded response. I hope there was some insight there.
There absolutely was. Not long-winded at all. Perfectly stated and laid out. And it is so good to have some hope. You know, we do hear all the time the doom and the gloom, and the other side would love for us to believe that this document matters not at all anymore, right? No such thing as constitutional anything, right? Bill of Needs, I guess, not Bill of Rights. But then when we hear things like this, and I think that our Arizona Attorney General, Mark Brnovich, I think he was the first one to dive into this and say, I'll be part of the amicus brief.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're frustrated with him, but on this particular case,
He's a politician. I mean, it comes with the territory, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, we have to work with our politicians.
Mhm,
We have to let them know what it is we expect from them. We have to hold them accountable.
mhm.
And it is great to see half the country. It would be wonderful to see a couple Democrat AGs come in there in support of this as well, but they
Mhm.
won't. They toe the line. It doesn't matter. Half the nation's AGs are involved in this case in Maryland. I'm excited about this case. Guys, this would be a 1-2 knockout blow. Imagine that. The quick right and the quick left, boom, put it right down on the mat and say, nah, I don't think I'm going to let you arrest me today, Sheriff Behan, to use the old phrase from Tombstone. That's the winning phrase. No, we're going to win this victory. Meanwhile, the mainstream media, the lie of omission, they don't even talk about it. They don't want anybody to know about it. But we know who's winning this fight, and so does the left.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. And, thinking about our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, these documents, they are not partisan. It's not like there is a Republican or right-leaning Constitution and Bill of Rights and then a left-leaning
Hopefully
Democratic
don't left to me.
Bill of Rights. It's all for everyone. And we as citizens, as voters, we have allowed the politicians to make it where we can't even talk about it because in polite society, you don't talk about politics, right? And that I think is slowly correcting with the millions of brand new, first time, never owned a gun before citizens out there. But an interesting thing is, I look at those millions and I start seeing a whole bunch of possible new friends, right? And I
Yeah.
want to just love them all up and love them all in. And you're like a little bit more like,
Be careful.
hang on a second.
Be
And
careful.
I want to unpack that a little bit because I know that you would not shut out anybody who was truly for the Constitution. You would not, hold your hand up to them at all. But I like that you're a little bit more, you're going to have to sort of prove to me that you did more than just exchange money for an item before I think you're on my side of things. Go with that. Unpack that.
Now, let me
a little bit.
explain that. Just because you own a gun doesn't mean you're my friend.
Yeah.
Let me be very, very clear about that.
Yeah.
Yay, you have a gun. Excellent. How are you voting?
Mm.
Are you going to vote for Biden if he's even awake in 2024? Are you going to vote for Democrats? Are you going to vote for more of the same? Are you going to vote for Eric Adams in New York City? Are you going to continue to vote for this lunatic communist AOC? Are you going to continue to vote for Democrat? Just because you're a gun owner doesn't mean you're my friend. And here's why. To me, this is my number one issue. I vote my guns.
Mhm.
There are, look, the Second Amendment and the Constitution are not partisan. Every human being has a right to defend themselves. I champion that right. Congratulations for buying a gun. That tells me that you might be fixable if you're voting left. Maybe we can fix you, but not necessarily. There's a lot of Democrats out there who don't mind jumping through the hoops, who think, they're never going to take my guns away from me. Biden doesn't want to really do that. The left doesn't want to take my guns. I'm going to have my gun. There are a lot of people out there that are elitist snob punks that think it's okay for me. I'm a movie star. I get to protect myself. The hell with you. Okay. And that's where we get into the okay for me, not for thee type. We see that attitude. That doesn't make that gun owner my friend. I'm not here to coddle that individual. I'm here to fight their politics tooth and nail. Yay for you having a gun. I got a white pickup truck, Dodge Ram 1500 4x4. Am I friends with everybody that has one? Do I wave at them going down the highway? Not at all. There are some people that drive white pickup trucks that drive drunk, kill families. There are some that drive white pickup trucks that use them to rob liquor stores as getaway vehicles, just because we're not the same. I welcome them as new gun owners. Now let's vote your guns. Okay, how do you vote? If call it cynical. I've been doing this a long time, guys. Okay. That's why I take issue with this phrase, the gun community.
Yeah.
What is the gun community? Every gun owner is the Antifa gun owner who's training to fight me part of my gun community. Okay, I'm passionate about this stuff. Again, we've got to vote our guns. There are people out there who own guns. Good for them. God bless them. It's a human right. Use that gun to defend your life. I don't care what your politics are. God bless you for having a gun and being alive.
Yeah.
Now vote your gun rights. If you're not voting your gun rights, that doesn't make you a friend of me, a friend of mine. I'm glad you have a gun to defend yourself, but I'm still fighting the battle. And guess what? At the end of the day, when I win, you got a free ride, pal.
Right.
Okay? You got a free ride. And
Mark,
I don't back off on that at all. And I never will.
You know, we see it in the gun community already. We have people that had lifelong guns, they've owned guns all their life, but they say, well, AR-15s, we don't really need AR-15s. It's okay, or we have shotguns that they don't like you having a handgun. So we have people in our own community that are not supporting our right. I'm a rights guy too. I don't care if you own a gun or not. If you don't want to own a gun, fine. As long as you let us have our rights, don't take our Constitution away from us. If you're a constitutionalist, then I don't care, right? Then you're a friend.
You guys might remember a GRPC a number of years ago in Chicago. It's interesting for me at GRPC, I try to write my speech every year. And then over the last 4 to 5 years, I just stopped doing that because it comes to me. And here I was, I hadn't had one written. I was in a cab, sharing a cab with a young girl who was going to the same hotel we were at the Hyatt for the GRPC a number of years ago. When she said to me, she goes, so what are you doing? Where are you heading? And I said, I'm heading to the Gun Rights Policy Conference. She said, oh, the Gun Rights Policy Conference. She says, I grew up with guns. I'm from Virginia. I love shooting, grew up shooting with my brother. I love our right to own guns, except for those AR-15s. I don't think we should have those. And I thought, bingo, here's my speech for the GRPC. I asked the cab driver, true story. I said, how much time do we have before we get to the hotel? He said, about 10 minutes. I go, I got 10 minutes to fix you. Okay. And I fixed her. I explained to her why she was mistaken, why she was misinformed about the AR-15, and to stop watching the news and to understand what it was that she was talking about. And at the end of that conversation, when we got out of the car, she thanked me, and it was a great conversation. Now, did she go out and buy an AR-15? I don't know. Likely not. But I had an open, frank discussion with her, and that made a lot of progress and a lot of headway with her. And Cheryl, you might remember my talking about that. That was my speech at the GRPC that year. So yeah, we take the opportunity anytime we can. And I heard you mention, so that they can give us our rights. We're having a lot of these issues with the mandates, and I get a lot of Democrat politicians saying Americans deserve their freedom back. Hey, dude, you never took it from me to begin with. I never gave it to you.
Right.
I was born with my right to bear arms.
Yeah.
That's what the Constitution recognizes. That's what the Second Amendment recognizes. You don't give it to me. You don't have that luxury. I'll determine what to do with that right because it's my right. If I choose to exercise it, I choose to exercise it, but you don't get to take it away from me. And there are a lot of people on the left who are beginning to wake up to that. Guys like Bill Maher, okay? Who would have thought that I would find myself agreeing with Bill Maher over the last few months?
We're in Crazyville when we're like,
you're in upside down
Bill Maher, right?
Well, I respect Bill Maher when it comes to firearms for a number of reasons. He has stated this plainly over the years, and I respect that. I know where he stands. I have a gun, he says. I own a gun, and I'm never going to give it up until I know everybody's given up their guns, which he knows isn't going to happen. But I respect him being out in leftist la-la land, speaking his mind, and we understand that. Now, that doesn't mean he likes guns. That doesn't mean he's going to continue, that he's going to vote the way we want. He just has guns, and he continues to vote left. That's why I said, is he a part of our community? He's voting for the very people who have made it clear that they want to take away our rights. He understands that, and that's his choice as an American. Good for him.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean you and I are on the same team, because we clearly are not.
Exactly. Well, and these are the exact reasons why I was so excited that when I invited you to come out to Arizona later this week, actually, to speak at our 9th annual Celebrate and Protect the Second Amendment rally event, because you do understand the broader scope and the nuances. And this event is designed, it's going to be held on Saturday, February 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the lawn of the Arizona State Capitol.
Yeah, buddy.
And it is designed to be that bring the family, bring the kids, bring your neighbors, maybe people who are on the fence, maybe people who are those citizens who said, all right, so I bought a gun and now I don't really know how to tap into a social set, into, regular training, into what do I do with my rights now that I'm starting to understand them. And so we're hoping that we're going to have people there. We always do every year. So I would imagine we would again this year from it's a slice of America, right? Every demographic, every place along the political spectrum. And I think that a voice like yours, being able to, and I don't know what you're planning to talk about, but being able to articulate some of those things, like welcome in, but
Right.
there's certain parameters that we need to agree on if we're
Well,
really going to be
here's the
pals.
thing. It's interesting. We don't really have to agree on those parameters, but at the same time, this is my shtick, right?
Yeah.
I'm fighting for the right to bear arms like you are, and you do it passionately on Gun Freedom Radio, just like I do on Armed American Radio. Okay, I'm not giving the other side a pass.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's why, and I understand this, and I know you do too. If I were the god of all things gun control and gun related, if someone said to me, Mark, you're the god of all things gun related, please make the left go away, we've had enough. If I could say to them, okay, I'm the god of guns, let's give them universal background checks and maybe they'll shut up and go away. Do you think they're going to go away if I gave that to them?
No.
Never. They're going to continue on. They've never met a gun control bill that they haven't wanted to make love to and fondle. It's that simple. As crazy as they may be. This nonsense in Florida a number of years ago, there was a Democrat in Duval County who'd wanted Floridians in a free state to have to take anger management classes every 5 years to get a certificate and pass it in order to buy ammo. And the left embraces everything that comes their way, including bans, confiscations, everything. They will never stop. And that's what we have to understand. We can never allow them to gain an inch ever, or they're going to seek another inch and a half a mile and a mile. And it is critical that we never give that up. That's why. Why are we having a pro-gun rally in Phoenix, Arizona, one of the most gun-friendly places on earth? Because you have people in Arizona that are trying to take away your rights and your freedoms from you. And they're not going to stop. As free as Arizona may be, I can promise you there are Democrats in that legislative body putting up gun control bills every single year.
Yep.
And if the wrong thing happens in a gubernatorial election in the state of Arizona down the road, this can come home to roost there too. It never stops. We can't ever end this fight. We've got to keep it up in the public arena. We've got to keep it up on the radio, the airwaves, print, everywhere we can get it. And we've got to keep up the fight in the courtrooms. And that's how we do it. And I'm proud and honored. You know how much I love Arizona. It's my second home. I'd move out there tomorrow, but my Kennesaw State mom, my wife, just isn't quite ready to go out there yet. But, and I'm doing the same thing on March 2nd. I'm actually emceeing the event on the Capitol steps here in the state of Georgia for the 2A rally, which I'm really looking forward to because I get to go after Stacey Abrams, who wants to be the governor. And we're going to hit that really, really hard on the 2nd. These hypocrites, these people will not stop. I'm glad you're gun owners out there. If you're new gun owners, welcome. Vote the right way and vote your guns because your party wants to take them away from us. That's not my problem. I sleep well at night. You need to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why. And can you call yourself a gun rights advocate and pull the lever for the leftists? No, you can't. Not in my book. You can be a Democrat gun owner that loves guns. Good for you.
Yeah.
Don't call yourself an activist in my presence. Not when you're pulling the lever for the people that want to take away our guns. I'm not going to let you in the door.
So well said. And of course, that makes me think of Beto O'Rourke.
Oh,
Right? So, I mean, how many
it's too
sides
early to
of,
talk about him.
Oh
how many
my God.
sides of his mouth does he have? Right? He is on record as, getting the crowd riled up. Hell yes. Sorry for my language. Hell yes. I'm going to take your AR-15s and your AK-47s. I think that's a direct quote.
Ooh, it is. It is.
Well, like last week, I think it was. Okay, now the softer side of Beto has come out and he's like, well, no, I'm not actually going to do that. And it's like, you
Maybe he's going to buy them from us.
Yeah, forced by
Wants
them.
to buy back something he never owned. Look, you bring up the utter hypocrisy of the left.
Mm-hmm.
They literally think you're stupid.
They do.
The
media does.
Yeah, and then the media plays into this because they're a part of this. That's why they'll never tell the truth. The biggest thing the media does is give us the lie of omission.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the refusal to even talk about it. You can make up your mind that something is biased and a hateful story when you have the ability to read it, hear it, and see it. Oh, those guys are full of crap. Listen to that. They're not telling us the truth. You can make up your mind. But when they don't tell you something, you haven't been given the opportunity. And in my estimation, that's criminal. The way the media plays games today, people should be held criminally accountable for falsifying the facts. Look at the story with Hillary Clinton. This is bigger than Watergate.
Oh my God.
In the mainstream media, ABC, NBC, so we can CBS, MSDN, CLSD, and CNN, LOL will never say anything about it until they are forced to. And in my estimation, in today's day and age, that's criminal. That's criminal behavior. But that's just me. I'm the crazy guy. I think people should be held accountable for that. But let's go back to Beto for just a second. Beto thinks Texas residents are stupid, or at least he thinks his base is stupid. Mm-hmm. Because as Mr. Gottlieb said on my program last night when we talked about this very subject, I asked him, how can a politician step up there with integrity, character, and honesty, supposedly, and tell you, hell yes, I want to take your AR-15. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Mm-hmm. And he did it with authority. He said it firmly. He said it on a debate stage with 21 or 22 other Democrats running for president at that time. And he said it in front of a left-leaning crowd that cheered him, all of them, when he said it. Mm-hmm. Now, Greg, my producer on the air, made a comment the other day about Stacey Abrams and the mask and the Democrats now pulling all their masks down. It's all a farce. The whole thing is a farce. And he said, the science didn't change, Mark. The political science changed. Think about that. Beto knows damn good and well that the political science in the state of Texas is not going to allow him to go after anybody's guns. So now he steps out and he's the great defender of the Second Amendment. And you have to wonder, what kind of man, look, stand on your convictions, bro. If you think the gun should be taken away from us, man up and run on it. Mm-hmm. But he won't, because they don't have any convictions. That's why people don't believe them and politicians in general. Man up and run on it if that's what you think. I'll respect you for that. Yeah. But if you don't, look what's going to happen in Texas. And I'm going to make a prediction here. Stacey Abrams loses Georgia by double digits because of this whole mask nonsense. Mm-hmm. And Beto O'Rourke doesn't come. He comes in a distant second to Governor Abbott in Texas because of this. People in Texas are not stupid. His base might be stupid because there's a lot of stupid people out there. And as I've said on the air for many years, ignorance, when left unattended, breeds stupidity. These people just choose to remain ignorant, and therefore they fall for this stuff. Yeah. We're going to look back at this, guys, and go, look at these idiots in their masks. You can see it shifting. It's changing right before our eyes. And the Democrats get it. That's why they're changing, because they now what they're going to do is they're going to claim victory, and they're switching their political tunes when it comes to guns. The flip-flopping is well underway as we approach the midterms, because they know they're going to get shellacked. I feel confident in what I'm telling you. I think it would require some type of catastrophe for the opposite to happen at this stage of the game. That's why we're seeing the flip-flopping from them right now.
Yeah.
Well, a reporter yesterday on Fox said that they're hoping that they'll forget that we made them wear masks, and that the election's coming up, that maybe the Democrats will forget all these restrictions that we have. And so they're softening their tune, just like Beto or whatever his name is. So
but he's
because they think
cool,
we'll forget about it.
And he rides a skateboard, so totally.
So does Antifa. Last I checked, the Antifa riders all ride skateboards too, right?
Yeah, they do.
And I want to plug that
New
Jersey governor again, the one that says the Constitution's above his pay grade, and he's still our governor of New Jersey.
Murphy, it's interesting, guys. This whole mask thing is fascinating to me for a number of reasons, because it does tie into guns. When you look at what happened with Stacey Abrams in the state of Georgia, Stacey Abrams, the idiot that she is, puts that photograph out on Twitter of her sitting there without a mask while kindergartners behind her are suffering in these face diapers. And within an hour, the backlash was huge across the spectrum. Look at this elitist. And it was coming from all sides. What did they do? They pulled it down. Then they played the race card. The Republicans are only attacking us because it's Black History Month. That didn't go over well, because it had nothing to do with race. It had to do with Stacey Abrams without a face diaper as an elitist, while children behind her were having to breathe in through face diapers. It didn't age well in the hour that it was out there. As a result, within 24 hours, you had all the Democrat governors in New York, California, and you're talking about Murphy, that tyrant in New Jersey and Delaware, all bringing their mask mandates down. That's not coincidental. They saw what happened. They know they've overplayed their hand. Mark my word on this. That is not coincidental. It's all part of the same plan, guys.
You think the voters will forget by November?
Oh my God.
Oh, no way.
I don't think so either.
No,
too much.
no way. Now, there will be some that will continue to walk around in their dopey masks and drive around by themselves in their dopey masks, thinking that they're saving the world, but they will just look like the fools that, quite frankly, they are.
Right.
No, so true. And so I just wanted to check, are we sure that it's racism and not that, as AOC has said, that we can't date Stacey Abrams or something like that?
Well, I mean,
Remember
look at me.
crazy
I'm upset that I can't date Stacey Abrams, right?
Seriously. And AOC and her boyfriend. I don't know what's
She's the only
going
one on that. She's the only one in that video that should have been wearing a mask. There, I said it. I'll leave it alone.
You said it.
I want to date them. I want to date them all and take them to Colombia for a date.
There
and
you go.
then
One of the countries that they would fit in perfectly with. Like, why don't they just go there?
Well, hey, before we go farther, let me say this about Stacey Abrams. All kidding aside, Stacey Abrams made a terrible mistake when she doubled down. All she had to do was shut her mouth and let it die. But she didn't. She came back out and she apologized. And then when she apologized, she said, but she still supports mandates for masks for kids. That's her undoing in the state of Georgia, guys, right there, because we're over it. Now, we've been free in the state of Georgia. Florida gets all the credit. DeSantis gets all the credit. This state never closed. We never were forced to do anything in this state. The governor left it up to only the little bastions of blue, like Cobb County and Fulton County and DeKalb County, where the Democrats were controlling, had you in mandates. My kids have never worn masks. They were never forced to wear masks. Schools have been open from day one. The problem is the media doesn't cover it because, let's be frank, people from New Jersey and New York are not moving to Georgia to escape. They're moving to Florida. So Florida tends to get all the news. But I got to give Kemp, who's under tremendous political pressure in this state right now, his due, because he did keep this state open. And this state has been free from day one. And there's value in that. And Stacey Abrams, for some reason, hasn't figured that out. And as Neil McCabe said in the roundtable on my show a couple of weeks ago, that will be her undoing in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, I think they just live in too tight of a bubble, and they think that what they believe is what everyone believes.
Well, they're never wrong. Even when they apologize, there's always a but there. So
right. And the only reason that they would even have to apologize is because there's some racist out there or somebody that wants to date them, so,
What's his
not interested in dating AOC, guys. Not interested in the least bit.
No, you didn't hear that? The
No.
AOC said the only reason that people are giving her garbage about, I think, having gone to Florida on her vacation, right? So she goes to a free state for her vacation and then wants to mandate everybody else in her own state. But she said the only reason that people are mad is because they want to date her.
Ew.
Republicans are upset because they can't date her. It's
I'm like,
sexual
what?
frustration. I mean,
Who
the
even
arrogance
thinks
from
of
these
these
people.
Things is so crazy. But
Ooh,
but
that's
you,
all.
I know, right? But you brought up a good point. There's all these other countries out there that love the idea of top-down management, right?
But they won't be at the
government
top,
says
though.
so.
They won't be at the top if they move. That's the problem.
They should, because they believe like these other countries. But anyway,
Wow.
we can hash that out afterwards. Mark, you have been in such a unique position over these years, where you have seen so many things in our history unfold in even these past 15 years.
Yeah.
Do you have a set of binoculars for the future? What do you think the trajectory for our rights, the trajectory for people understanding that this wasn't, this document didn't give us anything, right? The Constitution didn't give us anything. It secured what we have just by the merit of being born and being alive in this nation. Are people going to start getting it more? Or
Yeah, let me.
Dying on the vine.
A great question. I'm the eternal optimist here. Freedom isn't free. Freedom is an uphill battle. And we're at a critical juncture in this country. There are forces in this country trying to socialize this nation, trying to take away the world, the country that I grew up in, that you grew up in, for my kids. And we're not going to let it happen. Freedom is innate. It's in every single one of us. And this country allows freedom to flourish. What we're seeing right now through a communist media, a Marxist controlled media, a propaganda wing of the Democrat Party media, the Democrat Party, there's a reason the party shifted so far left. People act shocked that Schumer's really so far left. They've been waiting for their time. This is it. And Obama was the spark that brought them that fundamental transformation of America that he talked about when he told Joe the plumber, yes, I believe in redistribution of wealth. And the media champions this. We have to remember that the media is fake. And when you combine a 24-hour fake media that's in the tank doing the bidding of one political party, combined with an internet that gives us instant information and a hideously left-wing social media platforms such as Twitter and Facebook, where hate flourishes. Don't take my word for it. Go to Twitter right now and just search #Trump and wait till you see the hatred aimed at you as a conservative or as a gun-loving American or someone who doesn't wear masks every day. They hate you. And when you combine all of those things together, you have a recipe for disaster. And that's where we are now today. So it's an uphill battle because we don't have the luxury of having that mainstream press on our side. But what we do have is we have that document on our side, and we have freedom on our side. And Americans of all stripes, of all colors, of all creeds yearn to be free. And freedom will prevail. It's going to be an ugly fight sometimes, and we might have to take one for the team from time to time. You might have to suffer through an economic downturn in order to take it. We may have to do these things. Maybe the truckers are going to, in the United States, are going to do what they did in Canada. Okay, maybe they make a statement. That's how we win these battles. And if we have to suffer for a couple of weeks to do it, maybe we do. But in the long term, it's worth it because freedom will prevail. I believe that at my core. That's why I fight for it every day. No doubt that we will win this battle. The option is not an option. The other option is not an option, guys. That means a loss of freedoms. It means the elite controlling us. It means them, the elite thinking that they can give us our freedom and take our freedom from us. Now, it doesn't work that way. Americans will fight to the death to see to it that that doesn't happen. And I'm confident. All you have to do is look at the court victories, look at the polls, as much as I hate polls. But at the same time, when you look at year after year after year over the last 3 years, you see the trajectory in these polls. You look at the victories in our courtrooms. This is a center-right country. It always has been. The media wants us to believe otherwise. That's called gaslighting. They've been doing it for years. I'm no different than anybody else. You sit down and go, my God, is this really real? You don't even know what to believe anymore, right? So take a break from that stuff. Get out of social media. Go live your life and realize that your neighbors get along, that you get along with virtually everybody, okay? Get out of this bubble, this fake news media, and you'll realize, wow, not everybody really hates each other.
Yeah.
And life is real. Freedom will prevail. I'm confident in that. It's just it may be an uphill battle, and we're in that stage of it right now.
I kind of look at it like the frog in the boiling water. They've been slowly chipping away at our rights, slowly doing it. But what happened, I don't know if they really planned it, but when COVID hit, they started all these restrictions, and a lot of people said, wait, what are you doing to me? I can't go outside. I can't go. I got to wear, my kids got to wear a mask.
Can't go to church.
Who would have ever thought this in America?
Right. So that came too quick. They've been gradually taking our rights away to a point where we wouldn't even know it and they're gone. This happened and it woke people up, and people are saying no. I'm saying no.
Well, there are little things that we have to do. Words mean things. Let me give you a quick example. I was flying out of Atlanta to the Car Firearms Rod of Iron Festival back in October. And I wanted to see how far I could snake my way through the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport without a mask before somebody said, hey, you got to put a mask on, right?
We've done that.
Right. And I'm not the jerk. I wasn't going to fight anybody. I'm not the guy that's going to stand there and get thrown off a plane. Okay.
Right.
I had a mask. I just wanted to see how far I could get. I made it through baggage when I got dropped off. I made it through security. I made it through the tram. If you've ever been to Hartsfield, it's a large airport. I made it through the Delta Club where I sat and had, lunch and a cocktail. I made it all the way to my gate. And as I was 10 minutes away from boarding, I wasn't even thinking about the mask anymore. I was just doing what I normally do. When a cop came up on a Segway and another cop rode up on a bicycle and asked to see my identification and my boarding pass. And I said, why do you want to see my boarding pass and my identification? I'm standing here waiting to get on a flight. The guy says, well, you're in violation of federal law. It's federal law that you have to wear a mask. And I said, whoa. No, it is not federal law that I have to wear a mask. And I said, guys, I'm going to wear a mask. I wasn't thinking about it. I just left the Sky Club. Okay. I'm not the jerk. I'm good. But I want you to know that it's not a federal law. It's a federal mandate. It's not a law. Congress hasn't passed anything. No president has signed anything. And the cop said, you're right. You're right about that. I said, please stop telling people that.
Yeah.
Okay. At which point I reached and I put my mask on. I said, there you go. Okay. Guy said, thanks very much. I said, please, guys, make sure people are aware. Tell them the truth. It's up to us to call this stuff out, man. If we don't do it, who's going to do it? Good. And I was the nice guy about it. I wasn't a jerk to the guys. I had a good conversation with them. But this is, the words mean things. Okay. There is no federal law.
Yeah. Yeah. In different airports, the recording that goes on and on, it'll say different things. In Phoenix, it says mandate. In some other place, it'll say law. Right. And then on the planes, depending on who is, welcoming you, really, they act more like prison wardens these days than, helpful staff. But depending on who's on the microphone, you'll either hear them say law or mandate. And we should not ever be conflating those two things.
So what's the difference though? So if it's a mandate, could he have arrested you for not wearing a mask?
No.
He's asking for your ID.
No, he could have thrown me out of the airport for not complying with their mandate, which I wasn't going to let happen. That's not who I am.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to see how far I could get. And I made it only 10 minutes away from boarding before somebody said anything to me about it. But when he said law, that's when I corrected him. And I made sure that I was, pretty adamant about that, guys. It's not a law. It's a mandate.
Nice.
In other words, somebody said, this is what you have to do. But we all know innately that this is wrong. That no human being can tell me that I have to wear some stupid mask on my face. Guys, I'm telling you, we're going to look back at this and go, what in the hell did we allow to happen to us? And here's the worst part about this. The media will determine when COVID is over.
Right.
The media will determine it. When they decide something else is a bigger story, they will move on. And you're at the very beginning of that now, because their state-run masters in the Democrat Party are beginning to abandon this now because they know they've overplayed their hand. The media will begin to downplay this little by little by little. All of a sudden, you're going to look back and go, huh?
Yeah.
What just happened here?
Yeah.
Right. So why
that day is coming.
What all of a sudden Monday you don't have to wear a mask anymore?
I know.
What happened that on Monday? Because I was in Vegas last week, had to wear a mask, everywhere I go, mask. The next day I come home, you don't have to wear a mask in Vegas anymore. Is it because I was there?
The Super Bowl was there. That's the betting on the Super Bowl.
What happened over the weekend?
I always get a kick about going into restaurants and seeing these plastic partitions that are just as high as the people are and have space everywhere and the staff wearing masks, but you get to go in. In Georgia, we don't have to wear masks anywhere. The staff chooses to wear some if they want to. I guess a private business, if they're foolish enough and don't want your money, would say you have to wear a mask. That doesn't happen. You can go in anywhere here.
Good.
But I get a kick out of watching this. So let me get this straight. The virus only goes as high as the plastic partitions and can't swim around the back of the partition.
Never.
And if you go in with a mask on, you're safe. But when you take it off to eat, you're safe because the virus knows you're eating. This is nonsense we have fallen for from day one. And by the way, proof of what I'm telling you, I could talk about this all day. Where's Fauci been?
Pretty quiet.
He's been pretty quiet.
He's
been silenced right now. And that, again, you're seeing this all develop now. Again, we're going to look back at this and go, wow, there's a sucker born every day. Because I didn't fall for it. You didn't fall for it, but millions did.
Fantastic. That we are, I think, starting to wake up and it's starting to wane. But the other side has learned a lot about how we behave, what they can get away with, what they can't get away with, and they are not taking a nap. So I would say they're plotting something right now, and it could be we're going to be distracted by what's going on in Ukraine for a while. But I don't think that we've seen the last of the Faucis of the world. So
No, definitely not.
keep our radar up about that.
You brought up Ukraine. That's a pretty serious thing. That's probably something's going to happen soon, right? What do you know? What do you think, Mark?
If we really got to go into that,
Yeah.
We only
No,
have
no,
like 3
I'll
minutes,
tell
so we
you.
do not have time to tackle Ukraine.
I'm just a little
right
bit
now.
worried about it. That's all.
And people should be, because
Mhm.
but it's all happening because we have tremendous weakness at the top of our political spectrum here in this country. I do not believe I don't believe there's I do not, and I'm just going to say this, I may be wrong, but I do not believe Russia's going to invade Ukraine. It's a lot of saber rattling, and Putin will win. He will come out of this getting what he wants, American concessions for something. That's why they're doing it, because they know the president of the United States is weak. I hope I'm right about that.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, it's a very messy situation. So
well, you're right about he's weak. I'll give you that.
For sure. All right, we've got to get out of here, but Mark, we are excited. We're going to see you here in Arizona on Saturday.
Thanks. Yeah.
February 19th, just a few days from today. We're going to be on the Capitol lawn of the Arizona State Capitol, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You're going to be one of our dynamic speakers. And then plug the one in Georgia you said is coming up.
Yeah, March 2nd, the rally there at March 2nd. I'll be emceeing that event on the steps of the Capitol. And we're going to really go after Stacey Abrams and the Democrats. We're going to have a blast doing it.
Fantastic. I love that. And the reason for these kinds of things is the example that you gave of riding in a taxi cab and engaging another human being who may or may not agree with you, may or may not even understand what rights are about. And that is education is
Bingo.
the key, right? Not legislation. We're not going to legislate each other into being safe. And
take every opportunity you can to fix somebody if they're broken. Okay. And understand this too, for your own sanity's sake, you can't fix everybody. You can't. And when you run across some of those people, just do yourself a solid, walk away. No reason to get your blood pressure up. Leave that to me. Leave that to you. That's what we do for a living. Okay. Try to keep your families intact. It's tough. I mean, I've got a family member myself that I'm, that is just not welcome anymore. I've had enough, as is the rest of my family too. It's very sad, but it is what it is. I don't want that around my children, and I'm not going to put up with it anymore. And we've agreed to go separate ways. It's sad, but it happens. But yeah, if you can fix it, fix it. If you can't, walk away calmly. There's no reason to get
and have a conversation with them, not argue with them.
Exactly.
Right. Try to anyway. Try to. Yeah.
So fantastic. And you probably have 3 shows of yours that you've missed during this time frame.
He was doing them in between.
I think he was.
Yeah.
I think so.
He was doing them while we're on the show right now.
So please tell
I've taped all this. This is my show. We'll put breaks in. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't air until 4:00 Eastern time. So I'm in really good shape. And as you know, we've added the second hour to the daily broadcast, and now there's 2 hours per day, and there's 3 on the Sunday show. And I'm looking forward to doing the live show from Phoenix on Sunday out there, and we'll probably wind up talking with you as well. So I'm looking forward. I can't wait to see you guys in about 4 days out in beautiful Arizona.
Oh, absolutely. Tell folks how they can keep up with all of the amazing work that you do. And I see that you're wearing your X Insurance, lean back just a little bit, shirt. Go ahead and give them a plug, because they have been such huge supporters of yours.
Yeah, X Insurance is the real deal. I'll go ahead and give them a plug. The founder of the company, Rick Lindsay, the CEO, he's one of us. He is a gun guy through and through. He insures risk. He insures gun owners. He insures businesses like yours. He insures lifestyles. He insures events, as you know. He insures CCW holders. He insures cops who are on the front lines every day. He insures the unions of the cops that are out there defending us every single day. And he puts his money where his mouth is, and he supports Armed American Radio. And God bless him. It's xinsurance.com is the real deal. People can find me at armedamericanradio.com and Armed American News, my newest news division, and get everything that we do every single day. You can listen live to both shows from there, or find a radio station near you to do the same.
Man, that's fantastic. And we have got to have you back on more often. This was so much fun, and I can't wait to see you in real life in just a couple of days at the Capitol. 4 days.
Chuck Woolery said 2 and 2. It's 4 and 4. See you guys soon.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Mark. We'll
God bless.
You bet, guys.
Bye-bye. Busy
Oh,
guy.
my goodness.
Busy guy.
Busy guy. So the one thing about when he and I are talking off air, and he is just a true believer in this X insurance. I want to learn more about it myself. But he was saying they're not one of these middlemen. Like they actually supply the insurance.
Okay, yeah, because like my insurance company that I had,
They're underwritten
they
by
got
someone
5 other
else.
companies that
Right.
we'll do the gun part, we'll do the
Yeah.
building part, we'll do the liability part.
So, and X
and they do it all.
Insurance is coming out. They're going to be one of the sponsors
I'll have to talk to 'em.
the rally. So I'm very excited to meet them in person.
But I
as
want
well.
to know about this book, Grilling While Armed.
I know we got to buy that and read it while we're grilling and while we're armed. But our next guest is actually waiting in the wings for our next
So we need
episode.
to pray for our nation. Then.
We do. And pray for our leaders, our elected officials.
All of them.
All of them, even the ones you don't like.
Yep, all of them.
Oh, I like that.
Got
Maybe
election coming up. We need to pray they get out.
the ones you don't like. All right. Until next time, be good to each other. Have a great week, and God bless.
Bye-bye.